This is the Bolder Than Most podcast, where we talk with those making bold moves in business, real estate, and life. I'm your host, Trae Jacobs. Thank you for being here. Let's jump right in. Welcome back to the Bolder Than Most podcast. My name is Trae Jacobs, and today I got my man jaycartermartin out of Jacksonville. J-Man, you do so much, bro. I honestly don't even know how to introduce you, bro. Like marketing, videos, capital raising, real estate, bro. Like, bro, how about you introduce yourself for the listeners for me?
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, I definitely do a lot. I know, the career started like in 2018. I started my first business. It was a marketing agency. Still running today. That's like my main hub. But recently got really deep into like multifamily real estate. The business was going well, but I started really falling in love with like learning how to create, generational wealth. So that's like what I've started doing recently. But the journey's been there, man. Like, entrepreneurship starts from a standpoint of like really just trying to figure out how to generate income on your own. So I've done it all, like drop shipping, it's like one of the first things I looked into, and I started like.
You were a drop shipper?
Hey, that was the first thing I learned, man. You go online, you start looking at ways to make money. And then ultimately, 2018, I sold my first website for like $100. And I was like, and I didn't know how to make websites. So I went home for like 5 hours on YouTube, and I was like, how to make a website. And I made my first website. So then that's like when like the agency kind of started, where I was like, hey, I like marketing and I can help people like with websites. So that's the first thing I did. And then I started helping people, with more of their marketing, like Facebook ads. And then I really got into the content piece. So we started doing videos. And then it kind of just migrated and transformed from there. But yeah, the main thing is marketing. Still run that. I love that. That's like my main thing. And then definitely getting into the real estate and, raising capital and learning how to acquire like multifamily, kind of like what you do, bro.
I mean, the marketing and raising capital, I mean, they're one and the same, right? The terms are synonymous, right? Like, to be a good capital raiser, you have to know how to market yourself. So that's dope, bro. That's dope. So 2018, we were talking earlier, you're in Jacksonville. Were you in Jacksonville back in 2018?
Yeah, so my family moved down. I'm originally from New Jersey, but my family moved down to Florida a long time ago. I was probably like, I would say 11, 12 years old. And so came down here to St. Augustine, Florida, like the historic St. Augustine, Florida, like one of the first cities in the country, stuff like that. So I went to school out here for high school, and then I went to University of Florida, studied sport management. Yeah, I studied sport management. I thought I wanted to be a sports agent until like one of my mentors was like, call these sports agents, learn how the industry works. I called like 5 to 7, sports agents. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this, like it's like a real dog eat dog industry.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So then I was minoring in mass communication, which is essentially like marketing. And that's where I really fell in love with like advertising, copywriting, and I learned the history, Ogilvy, like the OG of advertising. And so that's where I got like my preliminary background in marketing. And so in 2018, I moved back after I finished college, moved back to Jacksonville, and I started a couple of internships in marketing. And then it was a video by Gary Vee. I was sitting in my cubicle during my internship, and he had a video that's like, if you're sitting in a cubicle right now and you deserve, like, like he was talking.
He's talking to you.
I looked around,
directly.
like he's talking to me, like, so I was like, you know what? If I'm ever going to go for it, and like, now is the perfect time, straight out of college, like really just taking a leap of faith. And so that's when I started the agency. And like I said, I started with like just helping some of my internship coworkers and friends. I'm saying, hey, if you need a website, that's how I kind of like sold the $100 website the first time. And I went home and I was like, now I gotta deliver.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
What you said Ogilvy? What is that? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Ogilvy. He's like an OG of advertising. Like he did, if you look at it back, bro, I think one of his most successful campaigns is during the Thanksgiving Day parade in New York City, like the 1930s or 40s when they first started doing that. He had everybody smoking Marlboro. How you call it? Marlboro? How do you say it? Yeah.
The cigarettes.
Correct. So, yeah. Bro, imagine everybody on the float, everybody walking around was smoking because he set up an ad campaign through that that was like one of his most successful ones. And so like think about like back then, a lot of the marketing and advertising was print and stuff like that. And so he had almost the entire country smoking those cigarettes after he did that campaign. So he's like went down in the history books for
That's
doing.
crazy. That's a crazy marketing campaign. Like, what would you even call that, right? Like, I mean, today we have like PPC, right? Very easy to put that type of marketing into a bucket, right? But that's not like guerrilla marketing, is it? Or what is that
I'm not
called?
sure the exact term, but it was stuff like that, bro, that like made me realize like you can move culture, you can move societies, you can move groups of people with like messaging, marketing, advertising. And he was one of the OGs. So when I learned that in college, I was like, I like the principle of being able to showcase products, services, or whatever and have an
Yeah.
impact. Like he really had people smoking. I know that's a negative like product or service that everybody's smoking cigs, but that's just an
it
example of like
it
who
works.
Ogilvy is and what he's done. Yeah.
So who's the modern day Ogilvy, or who has put out a campaign like that in today's day and age?
There's a lot of ones that you've seen, like Apple has done amazing campaigns. As far as brands, you know, there's different agencies, of course, at different levels. You know, now, but there's a lot of different campaigns that stand out. You know, the Got Milk is legendary. You
Oh
know what I'm
yeah, with
saying?
the
They had
with the
people saying,
mustache.
"Come on," like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that
Like
was fire.
that's
Oh, what was the
there's a
Nike
bunch.
commercial where they're playing basketball? Do
Yep,
do 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 do.
exactly.
Oh, that was fire.
So,
That's
so
like
those are things that you know they're iconic in moments, right? Like they shift culture in the moment, and they're remembered long after they've come out. I
yeah.
was just watching, you know, on Netflix, OJ Simpson's like story. I've never really learned in, or looked into it or learned about his story, but they were talking about his Hertz commercial when he was on Hertz back then. You know, he was running through the airport or did something like that, which is like revolutionary for like an African American male back in the day, being on TV and doing all that stuff. But just stuff like that, where I start realizing like the power of marketing and how you can position your brand, and position yourself. And now, you know, personal brands, like back then, personal brands were there, but people didn't have this. They couldn't produce themselves to the capacity
Yeah.
that like bigger production companies could. They didn't have direct distribution, like social media and everything that we have now, you know. So I think it's definitely changing, but the biggest brands will always, you know, position themselves with the marketing scale that they can. But personal brands are now leveling the playing field with stuff that they can do. Like, you know, you got
Yeah.
giants now in the game. Like, you know, Gary Vee's been a vet. You got Alex Hormozy coming out and really just position himself as a business brand. There's a bunch of personal brands that are shifting the mode of like, dang, this personal brand is bigger than a business brand, you know, at some point. So
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, I'm curious though, right? Like it's in 2024, right? Like we're always being inundated by screens and marketing and trying to be influenced one way or the another, right? Like how is marketing evolving in 2024 and beyond?
yeah, bro, it's from my opinion, the biggest shift has always been your ability to share your story and your message. And I think people are getting more creative with the way they do that. I mean, social media has definitely changed the way people do that. But even in the past or before, I think the newest innovations of marketing come down to branding, what you associate your audience with, audience building. Ultimately, you know, what it comes down to is like, what groups of people are you building audiences around, or what groups of things, and how you can shift their, or your influence, how your influence can shift their actions or motions or whatever. For example, Warren Buffett's been a brand in the financial industry for years, and he doesn't have to make a post, but if he does a trade, you got
People
millions.
see.
You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So there's a
That's
difference between like being direct to consumer, like, hey, my name is Warren Buffett, this is how you should trade, and then just being that powerful of a brand that people follow you based off who you are and what you do. So I think
I
now
mean,
it's,
yeah.
with 2024, it's really like from then and now, like the biggest difference I'm seeing is people are being more direct to consumer, more like looking at the camera, talking. My name is Jay. I do this. This is, you know, how I'm going about this thing.
I think one of the Well, speaking of Hormozy, right? Because everybody follows Hormozy. He is a huge brand right now. But one of the things that he said that really stuck with me is to do cool shit and talk about it, right? So I think about that a lot, right? Like you've built a marketing agency. You can go out and you can talk about that, and people are going to automatically come to you because you are the person that has that expertise. And I'm always trying to figure out like what is the cool shit that I can talk about that I've done because in the multifamily space, I still have a lot to accomplish though. Um, and then, with multifamily or real estate in general, what's more powerful, right? Is it a personal brand or is it a business brand? I mean, speaking of Berkshire Hathaway versus Warren Buffett wins, but is that
Yeah. When it comes down to it, bro, like one of the things I've realized is people will do business with people they like, know, and trust, of course, right? But even with multifamily, I think it was Dave Lindahl's book, Multifamily Millions. He has a quote in there that says, "You're not building an investment company; you're building a marketing company. The investments are your product." He said something like along those lines, which is true. At the end of the day, not to say things are commoditized or everybody's, in the different industries are selling the same thing. It really comes down to who you are and what your specific mechanism is, right? Like people always talk about the mechanism or the recipe to success, but like people might have the ingredients, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that people that I see are like, what am I missing? Why am I not good? Like you made a comment like, oh, I don't know if I have enough authority. I've done enough. You've done stuff that people will never do in their life, like already. You know what I'm saying? So, but you did it in a sequence of learning steps from someone who's come before you, who've taught you, who's been able to show you how they've been able to achieve things. And so, the same thing, like if me and you were cooking a cake, right? And I might have all the same ingredients, but if I mess up the recipe or if I add sugar when I should have added water or vice versa, I'm not going to get the same result. I'm not going to get the same tasting cake, So when it comes
yeah,
down to it, like I feel like people are now paving their own ways, and the way people are becoming more successful is by being able to do what you said. Not only do what I'm doing, but being able to talk about what I'm doing and show what I'm doing. Or Mosey made a quote or made a comment. He was like, we wish Bill Gates filmed when he was 20, 3 or whatever, or
yeah,
like, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like imagine his vlog, you know, like when he was building,
That's
or
true.
all these superstars, Jeff Bezos, like imagine, like he filmed when they transitioned to sell digital products. Because he was one of the first in the game. People talk about digital products now. Apple, iTunes, he was selling like online books. Like there were pioneers before the world I even think was ready to like become aware of what was really happening. So I think now it's super important to just see how people are moving and how they're actually going about what they do and how they say what they do, because that ultimately would dictate the next generation, and that's why we have so many successful entrepreneurs that are like 19 years old making
Yeah,
millions of dollars online because they found something that they're good at. They figured out a way, a communication tool to tell the world what they do, and the world is attracted to them, and that's how they're becoming successful. So it's changed a lot, and it's changing I think technology changes every 18 months, like
maybe
something
even
world
sooner,
changing.
man. It's so fast these days. Every 5 seconds we got a new AI thing. It's going to change the world. But
Yeah,
what do you
bro.
think when it comes to personal branding? What are the things that people usually get wrong?
They get wrong thinking they have to disassociate with who they are with what they do. Like I had an example. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh, I feel weird posting about my dog, because of whatever." I think, he has a business. I'm like, dude, like he has a business that sells scooters, the college kids in the college town, like, the little mopeds and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and I'm like, yo, post your dog because someone's gonna buy your scooter because they have the same dog as you. Like, it's just a world that's like, I'm looking for people are looking for relativity, right? So what people get wrong about personal branding is they think they have to associate who they are with what they do all the time. When if you post a podcast clip about your podcast, but then also post that, hey, I enjoy going to the theater, or I enjoy doing extreme sports like bungee jumping or doing crazy stuff, like people will be attracted more to listen to your podcast because they are relatable to things that you do, that you enjoy.
yeah.
So I think that's a big mistake, is people, oh, I can only talk about this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to build an audience for something. But you'll always be able to attract people with who you are stronger than the direct, this is what I do type of branding.
Hey guys, my company, Paige Capital Group, is actively sourcing and buying multifamily deals. If you're looking to put your money to work, gain some tax efficiencies, and grow your portfolio while we do all the heavy lifting, go to paigecapitalgroup.com/invest. That's Paige, Paige, capitalgroup.com/invest, and someone from our team will reach out. Now, back to the show. For me, and I'll speak candidly here, right? Like I struggle with that. I don't know why. I overthink like probably every decision every decision that involves making money. I overthink every which way I
Mm-hmm.
can. I do, right? And I if I had to assume, I think a lot of people listening to this when it comes to building their personal brand are also overthinking, right? So to use your example, I have 2 dogs downstairs, and if I wanted to share them, for me, I'm like, well, how do I do that? Do I just take my camera and then point it at them and say, hey, this is my dog Coco, and that's Maddie. Coco's all right, but Maddie, she gotta go, right? Like shit like that, but like just like overthinking the smallest thing. So if you look at my Instagram feed lately, it's been all just podcast clips because that's easy, right? I can
Yeah.
pull from a conversation the parts that I like. I can edit it just a little bit, put it
Yeah.
out there, and then I'm good, right? So, I mean, what advice would you give to me and probably the multiple people who are in the same boat as me?
Yeah, dude, that's a great question because everyone struggles with it. I think more or less like individually, not only with personal branding, but with like, you know how that saying goes, like someone knows what they should be doing, but they can't get themselves to do it for some reason. It's like that mental block. Like
Yeah.
overthinking really comes down to being able to remove yourself from the process because you're overthinking. It means you're thinking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like how am I going to be reflected? What is someone else going to think about what I'm about to post? And does it align with this? Like you just start going down this weird rabbit hole of all these ideas and thoughts when in reality, there's a way of thinking, and I forgot the exact term, but it's basically like there's stuff where we think about the outcome and then we think about what that outcome will bring and what result that will bring. And we get stuck in this loop of only thinking instead of really testing, instead of being, let me post my dogs and see what happens and see what the world really reflects and like what results from that, and then make my analysis of that. What happens is when we overthink, we do it all in our mind. Oh, if I post this, people might feel this, and if they feel this, then this is going to happen, and if this is going to happen, that you're doing that all in your mind, and then you already tell yourself you shouldn't post it, or how should I post it to make sense, when the way to get out of it is to like really put something out into the world and have the real world reflect you or give you the result of doing things. But there's different strategies and practices you can do to be able to take yourself out of that. But everybody does it, man. I do it all the time. Like, and it's over things that don't move the needle, right? Like, one of the examples is I was talking to another good friend of mine. He's like, I want to start this new brand, this new business. He's like, I can't, decipher between this name or this name. It had like a letter difference, bro. And I'm like, do you really think like a letter is gonna like change the dynamic of how successful you're gonna be?
I mean,
like,
to be real though, right? If that letter is using an S instead of a Z, it might.
No, exactly. But at the end of the day, like, okay, silly bands. I think it had a Z. I'm not sure. Correct me. You can look it up. But think about it, bro. That guy became a millionaire, bro. Like off these silly bands. Like the action. I think at the end of the day, the action will progress you, and like the overthinking, you'll stay stagnant. And it doesn't hurt you in the moment, but it hurts you over time because you could have put out a post, or you could have wrote a song, or you could have invested in this, or you could have bought this course, or whatever it is that you keep thinking in your mind. One of my favorite books is Think Grow Rich, and I think they talk about that same concept of like the successful people make a decision and they just stick with it. Unsuccessful people like contemplate the decision forever and make changes rapidly. Like
iterations, right? It's fluid.
Correct.
It's a living entity. I'm a designer too by day. So like when I design something, it's never done, right? It's just that iteration of that product. So if you were to boil down the personal branding framework into, 4, 5, 6 steps, what would those steps be?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ro. I would say for me, one is identify who you are, self-awareness, right? It could be as simple as, I'm Jay. What do I like to do? I like to make music. I like marketing. I like real estate. I like education. I like chilling by
Do
the pool. Like whatever it is that makes you who you are as a person,
do
right? I
you
think that's
really
like,
make music?
oh yeah, bro. I got an album out right now.
For real?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yep.
had no idea. All right, real quick, you gotta plug your album. Go ahead, man. I want
His
to shoot.
first album is called This Year's Gonna Be Different. It came out right in the middle, I think, if not before, right after COVID. Um, and I need to get back to it, bro. Music is my first love. It's like my primary, or when they say like you don't have to work for it, like it just comes naturally. I feel like
Yeah.
business, I gotta work at working out, getting fit. I gotta work at relationships. You gotta work at when I get on a mic and like just put a beat on. I feel like it flows through me. Like the world is just, it's easy for me to communicate. But
Yeah.
because it's so effortless, I spend the less time on it. Like I really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Ain't that funny how that works?
yeah,
You
exactly.
is that how you and Drew met? Shout out to Drew.
The boy Drew. Yeah, me and Drew, we connected in elementary school, man.
No way. Wow, y'all go
Yeah, I've
way
known him
back.
way back, bro. And through our lives, we've always been creators. Like people like to say creators, but like it don't matter what we were creating, whether it's music, videos, graphics, drawing. We used to draw. We used to like the same girl and draw her pictures against each
No.
other in class just to see which one she liked better. Like just always drawing, creating stuff. And he when we got into college and stuff like that, I learned the marketing side. He got really into the camera work. Like he got his first camera and he began producing videos at an early age, kind of rudimentary, just playing around. But when he got to college and he came out, he really started getting nice with it. And so when I started my agency, I realized a lot of my clients, like their content was not great. Like, you can't run ads in a situation where if you're trying to sell high tech, like the quality of the video matters to a certain extent. And
Yeah.
so we started collaborating because he had great video work and I had clients who needed great content. And so we started that back in, I think 2020, 2021, like right when like we started hanging out right around like COVID air time. We did like a mastermind together and then we've been rocking with each other ever since.
I love that, bro. I love
Yeah,
that.
bro.
But yeah, shout out to Drew and really your whole team, man. I see you guys out there working, hustling, and putting out some pretty legit stuff. But we got a little sidetracked there. Okay, so the framework
Oh
to
yeah, the
personal
brand.
branding.
Yeah, we got a little
So we
sidetrack. So
got
first is like who
so,
you are. Yeah.
self-awareness, right?
Self-awareness, who you are, what you're good at, like what's your skill set, what do you actually know about, right? What can you share, what value can you bring? Like, if like I said, for me it's marketing. For other people, if they're farmers, it's like how to farm crops. For other people, it's construction. Like whatever it is, like this is who I am. Second
Right.
thing is like who are those pockets of people, who are those audiences, in those places. For me, agency owners I've always resonated with because I'm trying to do the same thing. So I started learning from agency owners, other content creators. Recently, I wanted to build generational wealth, so I started building my network in the multifamily space and in real estate investors. People all around the space, realtors, title companies, brokers, property managers, like people in that space. So after you figure out who you are and what value you got to bring, it's like, where's my value the most valuable? To what type of people is it most valuable? And who do I want to give it to? There's I forgot the name of the documentary, but Jay-Z, there's reasons why Jay-Z's successful, like underlying fact of his skill and his talent. When he was hustling in New York, he would take a 2-hour train ride to a more prosperous, wealthy part of the city so he can sell his product at double the price. And I don't think a lot of
Man.
people, are aware of that internally or even in their environment, because that is what truly makes the difference between some people who are really successful and some people who are maybe just trying to scrape by. It's like, the biggest difference I learned is like this video is worth $500 to somebody and $50,000 to somebody else. It's the
Yeah,
same.
that's very true.
You
That's
get what
very
I'm
true.
saying? And so
Yeah.
that would be the second thing with your brand is like, who can I provide the most value to? And who is in the space that I can be valuable and associate my value with. people at the next level. It's always about learning from the top and giving back. You know, it's always about like, who's ahead of me? Oh, wow, I learned this. Now I got to the next level. Who's just starting out? That's another thing I love doing too, is like with videographers, you know, and doing digital products, coaching courses, whatever it is. Like, I wish I would have learned, you know, what I know now when I first started, you know, the agency. And so it's always about giving back. That's the second thing, right? The third thing, after you figure out who you are, who your audience is getting your messaging and your communication. So basically what that means is like, people call it elevator pitch, people call it whatever it may be, but it's basically like, what am I saying to these people? How am I delivering this message, right? So the channels, am I going to use social media? Am I going to use a podcast? Like, your channel is podcast, bro. Like, you're using this communication tool to build your audience, and you know who you are because you are talking about the things that you embody. You know, you're bringing people like me on, multifamily investors, people in your network that you know can bring value to your audience, right?
Right.
So you're technically being a vessel right now by producing this type of content, bringing guests on that can give value to your audience. So like, being able to identify that is like the third step. It's like being able to communicate effectively through a channel and have your messaging go out. And I would say the fourth thing is just consistency. Because imagine you did it, right? Imagine you made one amazing podcast, Trae, and it was powerful. The next week, your audience gonna forget about you, bro.
Crickets. That's it.
You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, literally, you have to be consistent with the message, because just like anything, man, in life, there's so many things to distract us as humans, and there's so many things that are wanting to pull our attention. And for us to be able to make a real impact, it's about continuously putting ourselves in front of people, continuously putting ourselves and our messages in a way that they resonate and they become familiar with people. And that's how you build an audience. That's why I love music, man, because businesses take a while to make all these things. But dude, like, one of the quotes I say is like, I can make a song right now that can impact 1 million people tomorrow. And that's true with music. People listen to a song and they'll replay it because it made them feel a certain type of way.
I mean, that's how Post Malone blew up, right? Like, he went to bed one night, and then the next thing you know, White Iverson was everywhere. I mean, it's just how it goes.
And the last part, bro, after you consistent, is have a product or service, have a way someone can purchase your value or work with you, whatever you want to call it. I see a lot of times there's two sides of this edged sword, I think they call it, right? Like, oh, I can't market myself. I don't have a product. But if you spend all your time developing this product and then you go say, hey, my product is done, ain't nobody there to sell it to. And vice versa, you're saying, oh, what if I have all this following? I got nothing to sell them. We live in a world now where you can become a millionaire selling somebody else's product, selling somebody else's service. So for me, personal branding always comes down to like, that comes first. Getting people to like, know, and trust you comes first, because then you can be able to give them value with whatever you consume or whatever you think is valuable to them. You get what I'm saying? I think that's what the final step is.
What if the value that you hold, right, your expertise is not in alignment with the value you want to give out, right? What would you say to those people?
So you're saying, like, if I, for example, let's say I'm in carpentry and I've been doing that for 10 years and I don't want to give carpentry.
I want to go fish in this other pond, right? I want to be an affiliate marketer, right? But people know me as a carpenter.
You know, what's crazy is, you know, I think Russell Brunson's like, you're one funnel away from, you know, like the tagline, you're always one funnel. For me, that's how I feel. You're one campaign away or one funnel away. I'll give you an example. People have in their own mind who they think they are, right? But what's tough with that is like, your perception of who you think you are is in your mind, and what other people think you are is in another mind. And so you're kind of playing with, who do I think Trae thinks I am? Like, that's a whole different level of thinking. So that's for me, it's this. Bro. If I grew up in St. Augustine and I got high school, you know, students and classmates who see me as the funny kid in the back, right? Even if I make it big, that's why people say get out of your city, you know, in the beginning. And, you know, people say get out the hood. Like, it's because in an association with them or the people who once saw you a certain way, it's hard for them to break that dynamic. You know, it's hard for them to be like, I've seen Trae always as this, and this, but it only happens when you change your identity. But if you place onto them, they're always gonna see me as this kid in the back, which is what people do. Like you said, oh, I can't change this. They see me as that. That's literally you telling them or reflecting. They're reflecting who you think you are. So the best way to do it is to really identify with the people that you want to either change your perception of yourself with, or really position yourself where the new audience that you're really trying to affect is people who resonate with that. So if I've been in carpentry, I want to get into affiliate marketing. There's a whole affiliate marketing world that never even knew I was a carpenter. You know?
So
and so
that's
if
true.
I pull up as an affiliate marketer, they're gonna see me as that. And it's the same thing. Even if there is people who in my carpentry background, in my, that world, see me as a carpenter, I can always say, hey man, I'm doing affiliate marketing now. This is what I do. And the people who associate with me will continue to follow me. People who don't. But that's how the world works. I can't expect, someone from high school to be like, oh, you're just that kid in the back. Fine, keep thinking I'm that kid in the back. Meanwhile, I'm doing this, and this now. And the people who want to continue along my journey will follow me there.
I think a lot of people struggle with this, especially in the multifamily space, because we're all coming from somewhere else, usually, unless you're like born into it. But even still, right? You're trying to shake the stigma of being the kid of somebody who's done a lot in this space. So yeah, I mean, I struggle with that too, right? Like, being completely honest, I'm a user experience designer. I was a basketball player. I was a knucklehead in high school, right? Like, every phase of my life, everybody knows me as something different. So it's really,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that goes hands in hand. Like, what do I post and how do I get the message out for the value that I'm trying to give people for this phase of life that I'm currently in? Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying this show and want to help us grow, share, shoot us a 5-star rating, and follow the show on Apple or Spotify. My goal is to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger guests on the show, to reach more like-minded real estate investors and help everyone be more bold and build more wealth. Now, back to the show.
Yeah,
it's
bro.
Really interesting.
Yeah, identity is super important, bro. And it goes further than the person you think you see in the mirror. Like, it goes further than seeing others and try to replicate. It really comes. That's why self-awareness is so important. Because there's your future self that you're trying to, become. There's your past self, and there's you in the present moment, right? And what happens is, as we're going through life, the past is always more comfortable. It's more familiar. And so when you're in a new situation, it's easier to revert to the way your past self would react in that moment. And it's harder to associate with how your future self would react in that moment. And so when it comes,
how do you get over it?
The way I've seen, bro, is really like, people want to call it the inner work. People want to call it self-awareness or whatever it may be. But it really comes down to being able to emotionalize a different feeling or, experience before you actually have it. Like, meditation is one of the ways I do it personally. I'm like, okay, I woke up feeling like my past self today. Whatever feeling that is, I feel lack, I feel fear, I feel all these emotions that people feel, right? But it's like, yo, how can I, because your body, your mind, your spirit, these are things that are very malleable, right? Because like we technically are this bigger being that has an impact. Now, of course, it can impact us. And that's when people go into they feel depression, they feel anxiety, their mind is racing because all these things are actually affecting them. But you can actually put it back on itself. If you figure I'm thinking these negative thoughts, okay, what thoughts do I want to think? My body is feeling tight and anxious. What are things that I can do to make myself feel relaxed? So the self-awareness is so important because in a moment where you see yourself or oh man, I'm feeling lack right now. How can I feel grateful? Well, let me do the action of writing down 10 things I'm grateful for, and not just writing it down, feeling it. One of the I do a meditation every morning. It's like, bring yourself back to one of your. I feel like I'm at my wedding. Like, I close my eyes. I'm like, I see my family there. Everybody's surrounding me that I love, that loves me. I see my beautiful wife. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so loved in the moment. And now that energy that it gives me from that thought and that feeling now allows me to be in a more a better state or feeling a grateful state, because those are tools or techniques. I follow a lot of people like Tony Robbins and
I was going to say that's the absolute certainty, changing your state, all that. Yeah.
And people don't know, they think it's foo-foo. They think it's like, oh, but what you're really doing is you're learning a technique or, a method that's like, I can break this pattern because everything is patterns, bro. Patterns
Right.
are
And
and all it.
recognizing those patterns and pulling yourself out before you can do any real damage. Like what does he say? Like if you're in you have 90 seconds to go from,
Yeah,
like because you have to recognize the patterns and pull yourself out. I got to
yeah,
get back in there. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like before going to a Tony Robbins event, I thought that it was fufu. I'm like, who is this guy, man? But after
yeah,
sitting in a 50-degree room with 13,000 people for 10 hours a day over four
yeah,
days, I'm like, maybe there's something here, right?
yeah.
Like,
He's breaking your pattern. I hate to see when people like, people like, there's an example. My sister-in-law, she has this friend, beautiful, like pretty girl, and she goes on social media. I was there one time and she made a comment out loud. She was like, "Oh, I'm so ugly," like because she was scrolling at other girls' pictures on social. And so think about the emotion, attachment, or feeling that she got from seeing a pretty girl. Literally, like made her state change, made her feel ugly. And I'm like, this girl is
yeah,
super pretty. And I'm like, that's what's
super.
crazy is if you're not self-aware, your environment, these things in our lives will impact you and make you act differently, change, how you feel about things. And that's what I say the past is. The future,
Yeah,
like you said, how do I change? Is like you have to almost like
absolute
program
certainty.
yourself. You have to
Absolutely, yes.
program yourself like
Yeah,
to be
like
like,
I
yo,
know
I'm this person. I'm
I
so
will.
certain, like,
I am all that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's dope, bro. Man, how did you like? I'm over here taking notes, bro. Like,
Yeah.
were you always like this insightful, introspective, right? Like, just so aware, or like, where did that
No,
come
bro,
from?
not at all. Um, One experience, and I'll share that I remember where like it really clicked for me that I needed to do inner work or change was when I first started the agency. People don't, talk about a lot. Entrepreneurship is hard, bro. You're thinking about this. You're trained your entire life. You're told what to do. You get up at this time, you go to class from this time to this time, lunchtime is at this time. Like, there's a lot of different opinions on it, but like the Industrial Revolution, all this stuff, like there were training workers, schools were training work, like the timing, for the Industrial Revolution, we needed it. We needed people to be in this mindset of working this time to this time, being organized. And that's great. A lot of stuff is still similar that I feel needs to change. But, you know, to go back to your point, like, I was in a place where just everybody's mindset was that, like, go to work to this time of this. Now, you go to school, then you go to work, same time, lunch is 12 o'clock. And I got into this method where I knew I wanted something different. So then I took the leap of faith into entrepreneurship. But this is where the paradigm shift, the mental, oh my God, there's nobody telling me what to do. Oh my God, I'm not making money. I don't know how to make money. I'm new at this skill. I don't know how to market. I don't know how to do a website. What's a contract? What do I write in the contract? Like, how do they pay me? What's an invoice? How do I accept the payment? Like all of these new things that you're really a baby learning this entrepreneurial or business life, and the feelings attached with that are so powerful. And I feel like, other people have different experiences, but those are the things that make you grow as a person. The fear of not knowing where your next check is coming from, the rejection of trying to make a sale, not knowing how to sell, thinking you suck or people don't like you because you can't get no one to buy your stuff. To go back, the real moment it changed for me, Trey, was I've always been a happy person. I've always been, outgoing. You've met, like, I'm always like high energy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
bro, for
depressed.
sure.
I was depressed for 6 months and I didn't know I was depressed. I didn't know myself enough, Trey, to know I was depressed because I didn't do the internal work. I wasn't self-aware. My family, my friends were like, yo, he's being a certain type of way. He's feeling different. But it was because my mind all day was like, I got to pay my bills. I only have $12 in my account. Like, you know, I got to do
How do
this.
you
Or I just,
how do you turn that off, right? Like, how do you go
yeah,
from not knowing you're depressed, being depressed, to you know being who you are today, or not even today, like being who you
yeah,
were back then, but better. Better is the wrong
yeah.
word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
One of the first things I did was I started writing. So people don't reflect. And I think there's something so powerful about writing. Like you pen to paper, like typing doesn't have the same effect, bro. Like you literally writing down and talking to yourself, you know? because that's what's crazy. It's like people's relationship with themselves are really a strange thing. They don't see themselves as who they think they are, or who they want to be, in all these concepts. I told my wife the other day, I'm like, one day, we're crazy entrepreneurs, and everybody does it. There was one day I didn't eat till 3 p.m. because I was just going.
Yeah.
But imagine we had a baby and you don't feed them till they're 3. Like, you wouldn't treat a baby like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we
you ain't
treat
gonna have the baby much
ourselves.
longer.
We treat ourselves sometimes like shit, bro.
That's so
We don't
true.
sleep. We don't eat. We're doing all these things, and then we expect us to be happy and fulfilled and secure. No, like, you're treating yourself not very well. And so I started writing down how I felt. Okay, I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Okay, I feel this. Why am I feeling like this? Okay, and I started looking at reading my words as if it was someone else talking, saying things, because then I was talking to myself and having a conversation with myself. That was the first step. The second step is, like, I started getting to meditation. Took me to a place where I can conceptualize and be an observer of my feelings and my thoughts. We always think that we are the thoughts. Like, we are not our thoughts, and we're not our feelings. We're not all these things that we think we are, right? Someone asks you who you are, Trae. People will be like, well, I'm a podcaster. I do. But the real dynamic of, like, who we really are, we are the observer of all these things, So for me, it was like being able to disassociate with who that person was. So if I have a thought of I'm not good enough, realizing that's not me, that's a thought, like clouds, as an example. It's a cloud. You can choose to accept which thoughts you take in. And so that's when I started meditating and realizing, wait a minute, let me just sit here and observe my feeling. Okay, I feel sad. Okay, cool, that's fine. Oh, I thought about this. Okay, that's a cool thought. And, like, just sitting in silence to observe these things is when I first started transitioning.
When you say observe, right? Like, you're having this, I don't even know how to say it. Like, this might be the wrong words, but like this out of body experience, right? Where you're looking at yourself and all of these different puzzle pieces that make up who Jay is, but you're looking at yourself from such an altitude that you really have a holistic view of the entire puzzle. So if there's a cloud over this piece, it's only over this piece in relation to the greater puzzle piece. It's not as bad as is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
It's like Bob Proctor, if you know who that is. I call him virtual mentors. One of my virtual mentors. He explains this to a T in one of his videos. Just search up, like, who am I, Bob Proctor. He'll explain it. But to summarize what he taught me and what meditation taught me is that overall, we are a being, a body that's going through life, being able to observe your body, your mind, your spirit, and its association with the world, with the environment. One of the biggest concepts that made it make sense to me was Kobe Bryant. Why was Kobe one of the greatest? Because he watched so much film on himself that he knew himself better than his defenders did. He knew that if I take 2 steps this way, 99% of the time he's going to move 2 so I can come back and make this shot. So I think the thing is with humans is we don't study ourselves. We don't watch film on ourselves. We don't see who we are in certain situations. We don't see how we react, what we feel, what we're doing. So meditation is really, I'm going to sit down here and say, what kind of day did I have today? Oh, I talked to my mom. How was my mom doing? Like, did I make her feel good? Did I make her feel sad? Oh, let me talk to did I talk to my cousin? I wonder how. Oh, I went to this presentation. I was on this podcast today with Trae. Like, did I drop some value? Like, and just being able to reflect on yourself, and that routine or that level of self-awareness allows you to now play life at a different level in the future. Because now it doesn't go of guessing of who am I going to show up as. It's okay, when I feel this type of way, I normally do this. I'm going to try and change that this time. And even if you fail, because everybody's new to things, fail all the time. But if you consistently aware to be like, you know what, like back to the example with the girl. Oh, this girl made her feel ugly because she was pretty. If I was in a situation, which we all do it, bro, you scroll on social, you see entrepreneurs, you see people doing successful things, you feel inadequate. You're like, damn, I've been grinding. I don't got a Lambo. Like, I've been grinding. I don't got this. And then you have a weird association with yourself. And so what I used to do is reflect on it and be like, if they're successful, they paved the way. They had to do something to become successful, because success doesn't sit on your lap, bro. You know how that is.
But success leaves clues.
And then association now is like, instead of feeling, I feel grateful. I feel glad that I know them. I'm like so happy. I'm like, dude, I love that you're crushing it. I can't wait to sit at the same table with you. I can't. And that's the toughest thing with people, is they don't understand how things impact them or how they react to stuff until you sit down and reflect. So for me, my whole growth of a personal being or self-awareness started when I started writing stuff down, meditating. And then the third component, I would say, bro, is being able to become super in tune with your body. The body and the mind are two things. The spirit is more like, you know, your actual higher connection to like love, gratitude, these feelings. But your body is the thing that feels anxious, you know, nervous, depressed, like you feel stiff, like, and being able to manipulate your body with doing stuff like exercise or cold plunges or being able to sit in a sauna and do things to your body that, you know, and that's why people become addicted to alcohol or drugs. It's because it's not their mind. Their mind's trying to fight it. Oh, I shouldn't smoke today, or I don't need liquor. But your body's craving it because you made it dependent, or you've programmed it to, like, you always drink on Fridays, so I need my my alcohol. But I would say, bro, those are the three things, which I love the way you phrased it, bro, because I've never thought about it the way you asked it, to be like, how did I go from like depressed to like here? But it was those 3 steps: writing it down, becoming so aware of my mental, and then understanding how my body affects me and being able to like manage my body, at the end of the day.
Yeah, bro, that's fire, bro. Like, dead ass, all of that, man. And I feel it too, bro. Like, I was scrolling on social media and I seen this light skinned cat in an I-8, and I was like, damn, bro, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. Bro, we let social is a thing where we let it affect us positively and negatively, and that's why you gotta know yourself, bro. Self-awareness is so key, like being so comfortable in your skin and loving yourself, because it's hard for people to love you if you don't love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why it's reflected. The world reflects who you are, not what you want, I think is one of the quotes, which is so powerful, because like, oh, how come I'm not getting the result I want? You're not the person that's attracting that right now. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But if you want to go to the beach, you want to go to the beach and have, you want to go to the beach, have everybody being like, damn, he been working out. That means you better be in the gym. Like, can't just go out there.
In the gym, in the kitchen, right?
Yeah,
right. Damn, bro. Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. I have so many more questions. We might have to do another episode, because, bro, you were just dropping mad gems here, man. I'm over here taking notes myself. So,
yeah, bro. I know. Yeah, we went over personal development, branding, marketing.
What's next for you though, man? You seem to have everything figured out, right? Like, I know you have a plan. So,
no, you say everything figured out. I feel like nobody got it figured out. Everybody. Everybody's doing it
out more than most. More than most. How about that? That's fair.
Okay.
Come on.
Intellectually, I feel like, I've put more thought maybe, behind stuff, but everybody at any level. That's one thing I've learned, bro. It don't matter if you're a billionaire. It don't matter if you're the fittest guy or whatever, at peak athlete, like whatever level of success you're at, everybody's still figuring it out, trying to do their best. And I think that's what makes people human, But for me, bro, it's just elevating to the next level of who I know I can become. I think that's the game. But the destination isn't the destination. It's the journey. And that's the toughest part day to day, right? You wake up, and if you automatically think of the thing you don't have yet, you will feel lack. It's just like a normal association, right? So it's tough when we have these goals to be like, I'm going to be in shape. I want a nice chest. Damn, I don't have a big chest because I haven't done my reps. It's more or less of like being able to change your association to like, I'm excited to do push-ups today. I can't wait to get up and do push-ups today. Like, that's where my next level of like, I guess, self-mastery or whatever it may be is.
I'm going to start doing that, right? Because, I've been in the gym a little bit lately, trying to get my weight under control.
Let
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm sore as hell, but, we making progress. But I got to change that association from damn, I'm not seeing any result. I've been in like 2 or 3 weeks yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to get in here and move some of these weights that I really shit. Last week was the first time I probably benched in a decade, like
Yeah.
bench press, man. So like it actually is kind of exciting, but that's dope, bro. Like I really, really like that perspective, right? Changing the association from the journey to the outcome. The outcome, I think, is still important, but what's more important is loving the steps, the actions, the activities
Correct.
needed to get there. So that's a
Yeah.
bar, man.
Yeah. And that's it for me, bro. I'm trying to just be better at becoming who I'm becoming. Like, of course there's goals. Everybody has goals. My goal is to, be able to generate generational wealth through this multifamily vehicle. I want to help I love creating, so I want to help as many businesses, partnerships with marketing, with my talent. I want to create music to help express who I am as a person, share feelings, thoughts, what are my lessons, and then, pass it on to students, pass it on to people coming up, and help people bridge the gap between, things of that they're just struggling with, that I found the puzzle piece to. And my biggest association, I can't do that unless I do what we just talked about, unless I feel like I'm already doing it and I'm excited every day to continue putting a brick down, the wall of China, like just getting super excited about, I'm gonna lay one brick today. Because there's moments, bro, and I've had it too, where everybody ebbs and flows, everybody goes ups and downs, and there's moments where I wake up and I do feel lack, and I do feel my past self, and I do feel like I'm not progressing. But it all comes down to, it doesn't matter what your situation or environment is. It really comes down to like what your perspective and who you're being in that moment. So my futures, like what I'm working on right now is like, how can I reduce the gap between, dang, I felt bad for 5 days. You know what? I'm gonna cut it down to 3 days next time I feel this feeling. Or Tony Robbins said, he's been doing it for 40 years. He gets it down to 90 seconds or whatever you said. Like, that's crazy. I can't do that, Tony. Like, I've tried. Like, it takes me at least a few hours to like, but
You know
he's
what? But you're
mastered
right
it.
though. That's
Yeah.
That's what is that? 5 days versus few hours. Shit, that's
But you know
okay,
what I'm
man.
saying? But
Yeah.
yeah, bro. That's what's next for me, man. I'm just excited to continue growing it and just helping people and just being able to impact people.
Who should reach out to you, and what should they reach out to you for?
Man, right now, bro, I'm really into the real estate space. So anybody doing multifamily, like I said, with connecting with you, everybody in the network, super excited to just be able to learn and grow my relationships in that field. On the other side, business owners, people who want to grow their businesses, who need marketing help, branding help. I love creating, man. I think one of the biggest things is aligning with businesses and brands that like align with me and like have a cultural and like, fit with the impact I'm trying to make. I think that's super powerful. And then, personal development, anybody who wants to like grow and maybe new to the entrepreneurial space, that's where I think most of my fulfillment comes. It's not even like, the revenue or the success. I think it's like, I shared a message or we did a podcast like this, somebody listened to it and it took something away from it, like helped them grow. Like, I think that's what I want to attract as far as like people reaching out or connecting with me. Yeah.
Where can the people find you?
Yeah. So, Instagram handle at jaycartermartin, Jay Carter Martin. That's the Instagram handle. That's why I'll be on. That's probably my most platform that I'm on. But it's the same handle on every platform: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. So that's where you can find
and then the marketing. What's the marketing company? Dream Dedicated.
Dream Dedicated. Yeah. So dreamdedicated.com is the name of the agency, and that's where you can go for any type of marketing. And then Dreams Capital Partners is the investment company, still launching and getting all the marketing done for that. But that'll be live soon. You guys can check out with me to partner on deals and do capital raising and IR stuff there. And then, and I'm coming out with Dream Dedicated will still be the brand, but I'm coming out with some digital and online course products and stuff like that. So if you're interested in learning some more things that I'm implementing in our businesses and our partners' businesses, I'll have some free trainers coming out soon on there too.
That's dope, bro. Oh,
yes, sir.
Man, congratulations, man. I enjoyed this. This was a fire episode, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I said, I was over here taking mad notes, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. You asked great questions, man. So appreciate the prep for sure.
Dead ass. I'm in a couple months. You coming back on here because I feel like there's some things that we still need to touch a little bit, just a little bit, bro.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Any last words? What would you like to leave the people with, the listeners?
Bro, there's always one quote. I'm not sure if I've dropped it before on another podcast, but it's one of my favorites. It was like, in life, like, just strive to be yourself. Because if you're not, people who are trying to find you will never find you. So that's the quote right there.
Oh yeah, bro. I love that.
That's it.
Cool. Well, listeners, thank you very much for being here. I'm Trae Jacobs. This is Jay Carter Martin. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.
My man.